Democratic National Convention heading to Chicago. Your thoughts on that? You can sound off at 217-629-7970. But let's hear what some officials in Chicago have to say, including Governor J.B. Pritzker, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, Mayor-elect Brendan Johnson, and we'll even hear some of the questions of how this is going to be paid for. How much is this ultimately going to cost? Is it going to be $10 million? Is it going to be $20 million? What about the public infrastructure needs? Is it going to be $90 million, as some reporters threw that question out? So we'll get to that here in a moment. But it was a celebration up in Chicago with party leaders, including Governor J.B. Pritzker, talking about the importance of having the DNC for their presidential election year convention in the Windy City. So here's how a celebration went down yesterday outside of Navy Pier.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Shedd Aquarium and to Chicago's magnificent lakefront. I'm Bridget Coughlin. I'm president and CEO at the aquarium, and I am very pleased to welcome you all for this glorious Illinois Day, a momentous day to celebrate an event where Chicago, Illinois, can on the world stage showcase our world-class Midwest hospitality.
Of course, we have to thank President Biden, Vice President Harris, and the entire DNC team. We have said throughout this process that the road to re-election to the Biden-Harris for another term has to go through the Midwest. We're happy that that message resonated, and so very grateful to the president for making this decision. But also, of course, we've got to thank our great DNC chair, Jamie Harrison.
I'm eager to continue to work with this partnership and work closely with the DNC to continue to make this not only the best convention that our country has ever seen, but will go down in history as the most remarkable testament to what is possible for the people of this great country. And of course, now it is my great privilege to bring to the stage our governor, the one who's going to make sure in August we have 78 to 82 degrees. It's a campaign promise that I'm committing to for him today. Help me welcome Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor-elect. And hey, Chicago! We are a reflection of the nation and the policies that lift up working families. A convention in Chicago, the center of the blue wall of key states like Wisconsin and Michigan and Minnesota, will show that Democrats don't take this region for granted, that this is key to victory in 2024. Democrats have proven that we will fight for our vibrant cities, our dynamic suburbs, our thriving small towns, and our abundant farmlands. This is an exciting day for Chicago, but also for the Midwest and the entire nation. And we look forward to seeing you here to celebrate with us next year in August.
So the convention is going to be in August at the United Center. They had United Center officials there to deliver some jerseys with Biden-Harris written on the back of Chicago sports teams.
Turn them around so they can see the teams. There we go.
Yeah, so Blackhawks and Bulls with Biden-Harris jerseys.
Awesome.
I'd love to hear from you at 217-629-7970. That's the phone number. Again, 217-629-7970. And you can sound off if you think this is a good thing for Illinois or a good thing for Chicago. Now, the Democrats are going to be having their convention here in Chicago. I think Republicans have already decided it's down the street in Milwaukee where they're going to have their 2024 convention. And you have a bunch of politics that's going to be played between now and then, including what's going on with the former president, who's considered the front runner in the Republican nomination. He's facing a whole host of things, including the state level lawsuits and the criminal charges out of New York. Something down in Georgia could pop. He's looking at questions about classified documents, but even Trump's got other lawsuits going on, including suing Michael Cohen for $500 million. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out heading into the 2024 election cycle. But Chicago's the home of the 2024 Democratic National Convention. Your thoughts, 217-629-7970. That's the phone number. Now, the governor was asked yesterday, and I think it's an important question a lot of people have, as to what is the taxpayer cost going to be for all of this. We'll get to that coming up. But, of course, your phone calls at 217-629-7970. Good morning.
Good morning. It just makes me ill to hear about them coming to Chicago. I mean, Chicago's the only reason Illinois is a blue state. I mean, you got Chicago. If you look at the electoral map from the last election, Chicago, there's Peoria's blue, Champaign's blue, and East St. Louis. And I think there's one county, which kind of shocked me. There's one county down in southern Illinois that was blue, but the rest of the state's red. And I mean, the land is red, but the population centers are all blue. And I think it's due to, handouts of free money and different social programs that are in those blue areas. Are they still doing the, was that guaranteed income thing that they were doing up in Chicago with they're handing out like $500?
It was, and don't call it guaranteed income. It's a, no strings attached subsidy. That's really what it is. It's a no strings attached subsidy of $500 for people to just get it. It doesn't matter if they do something or not.
It's vote buying is what it is. It's legally buying votes. And that's the sad thing. We're not teaching people to become better people. We're teaching people how to survive off the government tip, and it's just people need to survive on their own. They can't handing money to people does not make things better, and that's what I'm so frustrated about. And I tell you, if it wasn't for family, I would have left this state a long time ago. But I grew up here, and I've left here and come back here 4 times, and it's all because of family.
Listen, I mean, this state is, I think, one of the most vibrant and truly diverse states. There's a lot to say what the Democrats are saying of we have a lot of diversity, we have a lot of strengths in that, but it's not just diversity of color, it's diversity of thought. Listen, you've got progressive Democrats, you've got moderate Democrats, you've got Republicans, you've got hardcore conservatives, you even have a whole host of libertarians and independents in the state of Illinois. But it's not just the political diversity, it's also we're the heart of America. I don't think there's any other state that can say you've got 7 Class 1 railroads. We've got a huge infrastructure of major highways that act as kind of the depot for the entire country. Huge agriculture. The Chicago's a major driver of economic activity for Illinois. So there's a lot of strength there. But as we see too often, one party claims dominance coming from an urban center, and that seems to dictate the policies, which leads people to want to move out of this state. And I hear it a lot. People want to move out of this state. It's their families that are keeping them behind. But once their kids grow up and go off to college somewhere, then they're out of the state or whatever the case may be. But continuing with your calls, good morning. You're on WMAY. Your thoughts on Chicago getting the 2024 DNC?
Well, I actually am a Democrat, but I really don't associate with their kind. I can't imagine the good people of Illinois being left as a tender mercies of those jackals. I mean, they're running the state down the toilet, and they don't seem to care.
Well, they'll say that they're actually turning the state's finances around, even though they had $8 billion going to state coffers for COVID-19 assistance, let alone all of the supplemental spending that went to schools and universities across the states. That money's going to dry up, as well as the money for Chicago from COVID relief. That's going to dry up, and you're going to have some problems down the line in short order for the city's finances. And speaking of the city's finances, with the DNC heading to Chicago, how much is it going to cost? Governor J.B. Pritzker was asked about that, and the assertion was, is it going to cost $90 million for them to have the proper infrastructure for this? And what kind of promise is The governor of Illinois, a billionaire, $3.6 billion. What kind of promise is he making to bring this about?
Because of President Biden, the infrastructure dollars are there for us to make the investments that are enormously important to make this city the greatest it's ever been. You talking about me personally? What I guaranteed is that I and the committee that we put together will work extraordinarily hard to raise all of the dollars necessary. You know, Chicago was the city that broke even at the Democratic National Convention in 1996. It's been hard for conventions all over the country, Democratic and Republican, to break even. It's a difficult thing. But here in Chicago, we have a business community and a very giving community that wants to stand up for the best things for the city of Chicago. We've already received some commitments even since yesterday to make that happen.
So is it going to actually pay off, or is it going to break even, or is the city ultimately going to have to pay its tax dollars that you pay to help cover all the costs for a political function? We'll be watching that closely, as we'll watch what happens with the Republican convention as well. We'll take another call before the break here. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Do you think that the convention being held in Chicago is any sort of stepping stone for Pritzker to run for president and like to focus on him and showcase him and his city and all that other stuff?
The governor contends that he's focused on being governor. He's downplayed every suggestion that says that he's looking to take the White House. Even earlier this week at Harvard, he said that President Biden is going to run for re-election. Now, is this going to play out for 2024? Who knows? But is the governor of Illinois maybe setting up to possibly look at, 2028? I don't know. Pritzker's still pretty young, so we'll see what happens. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll say 2024 because Biden is a hot mess. And I think that, this $90 million he's talking about is just a huge, basically, promotion for him and that party, and to prop him up for that run in 2024. I just don't see any other option there.
Got you down. Appreciate the call. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on WMAY. Gotta take